Good morning, Stitch Roadies. Well, welcome to a little bit of chaos today. If you're new and you're just stopping by for a visit, don't judge me on this one video because it is going to be all over the place. There's no rhyme or reason or organization. And for those of you that have been here a while, you know how organized I am. So a lot's been going on this week. Our personal lives have been busier than ever, and so in between all of that, I have attended the first in-person cross-stitch retreat that where I stayed at a hotel. This was the first time for me. Now, I went to a fall fling in which I drove, G drove me back and forth each day, but this one was actually held at Embassy Suites, and it was sponsored by Acorns and Threads. Janine and her fabulous crew pulled off the most spectacular, and I am not being I'm not over exaggerating. I know that everyone was so excited because it was in person. There was also a big Zoom component for those people who couldn't travel or chose not to travel, and it seemed to me that the gals with Acorns and Threads worked really hard to make it fun for the Zoom participants. But there were actually about 100 in-person participants at the Embassy Suites. And I don't know, it was just beyond my expectation on so many different levels. Of course, I should have thought that in Portland, we're all about diversity and inclusiveness. And so I brought this whole bag of food because I was used to going to classes or retreats where it didn't really cater to me. I'm kind of a small population, and so I brought a bag of food, of which I took back home because the Embassy Suites offered a vegan and vegetarian option every meal. It was beyond my expectations, let me tell you. The food was great. When we picked up our ticket, they had inside the ticket thing, they had drink tickets for the bar at the Embassy Suites. 18 tickets. Yeah, I'm not sure what they thought a cross-stitcher was going to do, but I had 18 drink tickets for Cheryl and Colleen and I, because we shared a room, and that is Stitching with the Sisterlies. And it was such a comfortable, enjoyable time that we got in the night before. At least Cheryl and I got in the night before. And then in the morning, we texted Janine that we wanted to be part of the Zoom because we didn't want to get out of our jammies. I know, it was so comfortable. It was so great to just sit there and stitch. And yeah, it was awesome. There was not one thing about that entire Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit that I could say, God, I wish that was different. Not one thing. So if you are interested in 2023, you need to sign up for the newsletter because that's when it goes out. It goes out first come, first serve on their newsletter. And she didn't really give a lot of information. The other thing I wanted to share with you is don't let the designers who are scheduled for any in-person event prevent you from going, because you will be surprised. Even if their designs are not your cup of tea, the fact that you get to be in the energy is infectious. The energy is infectious. And I could have cared less if I had not liked the designs that were being, the exclusives that were being presented, although I did love them, because it was more about connecting. There were people from as far away as Virginia. Yeah, it was, I can encourage you to please, please consider any in-person retreat if you can fit it in your schedule. But keep your eye open for the Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit in 2023, because that was nothing but a good time. So let me get on to some of the things, and it's not going to be organized. It's not. Everybody, the tables were round tables. They had a tower in the center so you could plug your light into or anything you needed electrical. And there were about 6 or 7 people to a table. Maybe about, yeah, 7, maybe at the most 8 you could squeeze in. And so I was lucky to have Beth Twist of Heartstring Samplery sitting to my left, because I just got a whole lot of tips. It was awesome, and so much to learn, because, you know, I may seem like I know what I'm talking about when it comes to cross stitch, but generally I would consider myself somewhat of a newbie in terms of the greater world. I mean, I used to do very simple cross stitches, and in the last few years I've kind of branched out. But there's something to learn from each and every person, and for a designer like Beth, it was extraordinary. And some of it was like, whoa, are you kidding me? So I lucked out. I really lucked out. And like I said, I roomed with Cheryl and Colleen of Stitching with the Sisterlies, and that was just a wonderful, wonderful fit to be with such sweet and wonderful people. Also, we've been, in our personal lives here, we've been busy. We've been doing a lot of busyness, and so I didn't have a chance to, I did text Janine and say, are we supposed to make a small for an exchange? And that was like a no, because how could the Zoom people do that? And they couldn't coordinate that. So I felt like, oh, I'm off the hook. Little did I know that the generosity of the cross-stitch community was off the charts. And so I literally have a baggie full of gifts that people passed around. I mean, it was, you know, here's Sambrie Stitches, had her cards and buttons. The little, you know, clean up your cross stitch in a cute little tube. It was amazing. It was amazing what people did. Here's a little needle minder and a skull-shaped waxer. Yeah. And in our goodie bag, too, were 2 charts that Beth Twist, and I just love these 2 charts by Beth Twist for smalls. I'm going to do that crab. I just need to do that crab. But there was just so much. Colleen of Stitching with the Sisterlies made this little needle book. out of Teresa Kogut's fabric. Janine gave us a charging station. I mean, it's just one thing after another. I'm here to tell you, it's, oh, and look at this. Stephanie from LadyRobynS Stitches, which was one of the designers. This was something she put in our bag. Yeah, it was like cross-stitch Christmas. It was literally cross-stitch Christmas. And just so much fun. I mean, look at these. You know, I got more than one of these beautiful little rings, you know, that you put your floss away bags on, or scissors, or whatever you wanted. Yeah, so that bag was stuffed, let me tell you. We played bingo, of which I did not win. I took my gift from AKA Van Mom. You know who I'm talking about. I had to laugh. You know, I took this and set it on my table, which was great. And she also gave us, and I'll put these links below, because she has started a fabulous Patreon site. And she gave us this little memory pouch, of which I'm going to work on today, that has these cards, and I'm going to use my Canon printer, and yeah, and I will, like I said, put the link down below. We decided, Cheryl and I decided, because Cheryl picked me up and we drove over, we decided to stop at Acorns and Threads before we checked in to the hotel, because we knew that it would be crowded once everybody was there, that it would get more and more crowded. And I had a gift card. Yes, thank you very much. So I had a gift card to spend. And what I picked up while I was there, of course, Janine gave everyone a pink sheet of paper that you could write down what you wanted from the shop, and then she would order it or get it together and you could pick it up at a later date. And yes, I turned in a pink sheet. But what I picked up that day was, I had found that it was kind of interesting to stitch. I'd never stitched on 18 count until I started the Adventure Sampler by Sambrie Stitches, and that is on a 18 count Be-Stitch Me fabric. And so I picked up 2 18 count fiber on a whim, and that is an awesome color, isn't it? It's just an awesome color. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I had a gift card, and it was burning a hole in my soul, in my stitching soul. And then here's this color here. Now this one is called Dunes, and the other one is called Heather. Heather and Dunes. I snatched this because is it ever adorable. And this is a chart called Evergreens and Peppermint, and it is by Stitches by Ethel. Look at this. Is that not the cutest? So I will be starting that soon. What happened at Stitch Summit is that I was starting, before Stitch Summit, I was starting to place all of these rules on myself. You should really get this done before you do this. You should really not start anything new. No, you need to finish up what you have on your whip list. Blah, 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 blah. Meh, meh, meh. And what Stitch Summit did for me was release the stitch demon. I'm back to not caring. I want to start all the things. I want to do all the things. And yes, I still have an agenda for myself, And yeah, so I don't know, but freedom tastes so good. It tastes so good. The other thing I picked up at Acorns and Thread was by Praiseworthy Stitches, and it's called a Haunted Casket Kit. And there were several different designs. Like you can see on the back is the jack-o'-lanterns. And you paint this box and you cross-stitch and place inside the stitch. And so this is what I chose. Is that not hysterical? So that's got to be a start and finish pretty soon, because we're like at October. Yeah. Okay, let me continue with the projects that were presented to us. You know, I didn't know. You never quite know if you're going to like the designated project for the particular stitch event. You don't. Even when you absolutely love the designer, you don't know, because you don't. It's a surprise. It's a surprise. But I was shocked, absolutely shocked, that both of the designs were like right up my alley. And Janine McGowan's was all about the Pacific Northwest. And the quote was by Emil Galley. Look at that. Is that not gorgeous? I mean, it's just amazing. And Janine McGowan is the Blue Flower. She currently resides in Nevada, and I just loved everything about this design, and I started it immediately. And so I have my outside edge, and yes, it did meet up. And I was so lucky to be sitting next to Beth, because she gave me some tips that were amazing. So I started that right away. And then, let's see, let me see where the other one is. Where's the other one? Okay, it's got to be here somewhere. Okay. You know, this is, it's like the craziest thing. I have got to find it, so I'm going to just be talking out loud. Let me just say that, oh, here it is. That's a good thing I looked in here. Are you still with me? So when we got to the summit, we were each allowed to choose a bag, and it was one of these mesh bags. I had no clue that you could cross-stitch a design on these mesh bags. And so Stephanie had given us a sheet that had designs on it that would fit in these squares. And this is kind of a big mesh. And then Janine had given us the heavier thread. To actually do the stitching on those bags. So that was really cool. Oh, and there was, here's the Blue Flowers designs to put on those bags. So we got that bag. Back to Stephanie, Lindy Stitches, Her design was, this was her first trip to Oregon, so I was really pleased that the weather was good, that the smoke was gone, and she chose to focus on our seashore. Comb the beach for treasures with me. My heart resides beside the sea. Is that not totally me? I have a whole room dedicated to the ocean, and so this is definitely moving to the top of my list. Now, I am sure both of these charts will be available. They're exclusive to the retreat, but I'm sure if you call Acorns and Threads that you could put your name down on a list. That when they're released, she'll send them to you. So let me get back to this one, the Janine McGowan Forest Home. Let me tell you, this fabric, it's a linen. I don't know what kind of linen. I'm sure it says someplace. It's dyed such a beautiful green color. But when I was making my way around, hoping that it matched up, I was sucking on a sea sucker that I got from Margaret's Table. Cafe latte, you know. So I just want to let you know that if you drool on a hand-dyed fabric, it just adds a little more texture to the fabric that you don't have to freak out, because all I did was I took a little water and dabbed it away, and I don't think you can actually see where I drooled on it. Oh, this is such a beautiful, I'm very excited about that. Okay, I'm actually getting a little hoarse from all this talking. Do I normally talk this much? In our little goodie bags that we got was this necklace, this charm necklace. And I didn't know what it was about until they explained that from Stephanie of LadyRobynS Stitches created this little charts where you would cross stitch on like a 36 count fabric, and you would create a necklace. And so here's my necklace. It's a little heart clock. Tick tock, tick tock. It was like so fun to have something done. When I got home, I'm kind of bouncing back and forth. When I got home, there was a package from the Fat Quarter shop, and in it was 2 pieces of fabric, my Vintage Country Mocha 40 count, and this is like a standard loaf of bread. You just got to have it in your house. This one was like having a creme brulee. I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but I had to have it while it was in the shop, because who knows, you know, when things run out, then you can't get it, and what if it was the perfect something? And it's fabric printed with music. Isn't that awesome? Fabric Flair, woven in the finest European mills and finished in Massachusetts, USA. It is I'm really excited. I'm really excited. And this was a 28 count even weave, you see. I just kind of wanted to have it. And then I found a chart that I wanted for this winter. You know, our winters are wet, damp, cold, and snowy sometimes. And so I thought, you know, I'm going to spend the winter stitching birds. That will, you know, hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul. And I found this Prairie Schooler Birds and Berries. And they're little charts, you know, they're pillow-sized charts. And I thought, oh, that would be so fun if all winter I stitched a bird, you know, however many birds I get done, and it'll make me feel like spring is coming. Don't you think that's a good idea? I know this is not following any rhyme or reason, but it's all fun, and I'm glad you're here for it. Just before I left for Stitch Summit, G and I were on the coast, and we went down to, we were camping, and we went down to Cannon Beach. And in one of the antique stores, I found this little sewing case that was cross-stitched on the top. It's a little zippered. Isn't it adorable? And when you open the zipper, there's a little thread and thimble and needle. I just thought it was really sweet. And it was, what was even sweeter was when he was paying for it, the gal who was ringing him up said, "My wife is a stitcher. She stitches a lot." She needed to have this. Yeah. It's so sweet. And I mean, I'm thinking that gauze that this cross stitch is stitched on is like a 56 count or more, because you can barely even see the weave. Are we done yet? Are we done yet? I'm still flying high. I'm still flying high. And I met so many new to me Flosstubers and cross stitchers, and Mar, who gave me this button that I totally appreciated. Yeah, it says, "I'm shy, please talk to me." Yeah, because I'm shy, no matter what anybody else says. Well, it was great to meet, and I'll try to put in the drop-down boxes some of the names, and I won't capture them all because, you know, it's 100 people. But, you know, the Cluckers, half of the Cluckers were there. And then Michele from Bendy Stitches, Erin. I had so missed Erin, and it was so great to reconnect up with her. She hadn't done a floss tube in a long time, and I kind of missed her murder wall. You'll have to go back and look at her old stuff. But it was nice seeing her. And you know what was really funny is through the pandemic and the isolation, you really feel like you know these people on a more personal level. So here I was talking to Michele Bendy Stitches and asking, "How's your daughter?" And she's showing me pictures of her daughter and catching up with Erin and her daughters, and are they still dancing? And you know, it was just really, I can't even express how important that weekend was. It was like taking a breath of fresh air again. it was just like taking a breath of fresh air. Yeah. So that was fun. Oh, and Frozen Crafter. Oh, Megan. I mean, there were so many, so many. So where was I? Where was I? What did I accomplish on that weekend? Well, I got a finish. And then I came home and I fully finished it. Are you ready? Oh, I am like doing the happy dance. I'm doing the happy dance. I just loved stitching these. And it was, I had won the charts from Lost and Floss. And so I was stitching the last one, hashtag Leanne's Legacy. And now I'm done. I am done. Oh, it is so awesome. Absolutely awesome to be done. And so now this can hang up at the holidays. And all through the winter, for that matter. Another gold star for me. Another gold star. So I worked on that because it was, that last snowman had a lot of fill-in. You know, I'd stitched it to the point where you're doing fill-in because really in those situations where you're with a large crowd and you just and you see something and you're just like a squirrel or a lab puppy just all over the place, the chances that you'll be off count are pretty darn, you could bet money on it. You could bet money on it. And the other project I took was my birthday, start from a couple years ago, and that was in all things be exceedingly diligent. And this was the chart that I picked up at the attic when I was in Mesa. And I absolutely fell in love with it and fell in love with the colors. And it's going to be done in my birthday month. So I get to start another birthday start. So here is where I am. So all I have left is another dark band, finishing the words in all things be diligent, and then the bottom braid. And it'll be done, ready for framing. I absolutely love this chart. I absolutely love it. So I'm really pleased at what I was able to accomplish. Now, as many of you know, I get my mail at Acorns and Threads. And so Janine brought me some mail over to the retreat. And so I had it on display. And Marty, thank you so much, Marty. I had it on display at my seat. And Marty had made me a scepter. Queen Bee, with all the different sewing tapes. There is a charms. There is, thread pickers. There's a thimble. It's absolutely adorable. Thank you so much, Marty. And it was so fun getting it at retreat because it was on display on my table the entire time. Yeah. Well, I hope I didn't miss anything. Yeah, all I can say is do it. Sign up. Sign up for the email at Acorns and Threads so you'll know when the next Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit is. And really any stitching gathering take that first step. You won't regret it. You won't regret it. It's a wonderful group. Stitchers, on the whole, are nice people. And the more people we gather around us, the richer our lives are. Thank you for stopping by, hanging out with me. You know I love you guys, and I hope we see you down the road. Take care.